My pleasure to meet you here. Welcome in the studio of TV1.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I and TV1 were proud of what you're doing on the ground. So basically, introduce yourself to the audience and...
Okay, thank you. My name is Nostalgie, Patrice has said, and I'm the CEO and co-founder at HV Tech Limited. HV Tech Limited, it is a software developing company, and we produce different software-related products. Now we are working in tourism, and we have a product that is called Traveler.
Traveler, right?
Yes.
Interesting, go ahead.
So Traveler is coming to digitalize Rwandan tourism industry. So it is coming to introduce, to improve tourism products digital exposure. I mean, like, to make sure that all tourism services are accessible online, and then we make easy the process of booking for users and customers to enjoy this experience.
Interesting.
So that's actually what we are doing right now.
Thank you so much. Mr. Serge, I also visited your lab, the Leapr lab. It was a so busy lab with a lot of fabrications, mechatronics and all the things. It was really a purposeful, disorganized place. And I love the place. So tell us what you do and tell us what the Leapr Labs is doing, in the Romance language.
Thank you very much. I'm Serge, as introduced. I'm co-founder and managing director at Leapr Labs. So Leapr Labs is a research labs that we introduce to the Rwandans to help creating opportunities out of big questions. Maybe to explain that, we have many scientists, technologists, researchers, but most of them, they lack working spaces where they can create, where they can turn their ideas into business. Yes, we had a few like K-Lab, Fab Lab, but you find them as a small space where a few people are accommodated to work on their innovations. But we said let's have a big space which has not only the infrastructure but also mentorship that is required to help innovators turn their ideas into business. Interesting.
So now, as you can hear, by yourself, they are solving they're answering the big questions. What are those big questions?
When you are saying about big questions, we mean we are looking at the problems that are impacting large community.
Tell me like three of them. Tell me the three current.
For instance, let me say one. There is unemployment, youth unemployment. That's a big question.
And how is Leapr Lab solving it?
Yes, to solve that, we bring in innovators, young scientists, technologists who are ready to develop solutions. We give them mentorship. They start from learning, building, and they deploy their projects. So we help them when on the stage of learning. We do fellowships. So in fellowships, we have fellows. Those are students from universities, colleges, and high school graduates. We bring them in our labs. We give them mentors, experts from Rwanda and from outside. Now we are partnering with the University of Tokyo and many other universities. So to make sure that our innovators get skills. Then the second step is building. So when you have built capacity, then you want to turn that into something tangible. So at that time, they have to work on projects. And those projects they work on, we have in our labs flying robots, those are drones. We have some innovators who are working on Electrica. We have others who are working on a small satellite that is known as a CubeSat.
CubeSat?
Yes, a CubeSat.
What is it?
It's a small satellite. There is in a shape of a cube. So that's why it's called CubeSat.
CubeSat.
Yeah. So then those innovators, they build projects.
And when I went down in the backyard of your lab center, I saw a garden with the Internet of Things, system, monitoring the garden. Is also that part of the lab and all the
Yes,
things?
I can explain how it works. It's the process. So I was at a point where they build projects. Then those projects are the ones, IoT applications, remote sensing applications. They are developed because we have those infrastructure. We have the satellite. We have the towers on the ground. We have everything. Because these infrastructure, there are things that can be bought. We can make them, but also applications is what we look at when we are in the fellowships.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, Mr. Patrice, I also visited your office, where you cook things from. That's your kitchen, right? You told me,
yes,
yeah?
Yeah.
So I visited, I saw you have a couple of products, going on and others developed. I saw Huawei, is it Wow?
Yes.
Which is the most probably I saw a slogan down.
Yeah.
How do you say? It's probably the most,
like the most convenient payment
so.
in Rwanda.
Oh, interesting. So I also saw the Saneza under development. I saw the Dish Traveler,
Yes.
and all that. So I love the whole setup. For how long have you been doing all that?
I have been in the industry since I started my journey in software development. Back then in 2015, when I was in China, I was doing software engineering.
Actually, we'll come back on that. We are going to go into your backgrounds.
Yes.
I want you to first tell me for how long HVU Tech has been in existence.
Yeah, simply I can say we've been in the industry for like 4 years, but only 1 year of intensive working. Yes.
Interesting. Now, if somebody visits your offices and does check on what you're doing, like Mr. Serge's lab, it's immense, and you look young like all of us, and it's not really common in our country and in neighboring countries to find people of under 30 doing such a disruptive technologies and innovations. So now I want us to go back in our backgrounds. Mr. Patrice, tell us a little bit about your background and related to what you're doing at the moment, so that somebody watching, maybe that might be a young man in high school,
okay,
or a university student,
yes,
can get an inspiration, can simply say, maybe, okay, Patrice was just was a normal boy like I am today, and he's gone to China and he's come back and he's building such a disruptive company, and he's breaking even and making revenues, and driving himself and all that. So they want to know if that's how you were born, or if you really worked for it. So tell us your background story.
Oh, thank you.
Including the village.
Yes, that is going to be interesting, because when some people see me, they feel like I'm coming from this kind of a strong family, but basically it's not, because I come from a very tiny village down there in northern province.
What's the name?
Basse.
Right.
Yes. So that's where I come from, and I come from a very humble family background. My dad is just doing some little businesses, and my mom is just.
What are those businesses?
He sells products, agricultural products.
Maize and beans and all that.
Yes, that's what he does. And my mom is at home doing housework, and then I just started myself saying how can I grow?
You went to which primary?
So I went to primary, this one we call Ecole Primaire do, Kiruri. That's nearby, nearby Basse village. You can I used to walk for 30 minutes to get to school. Then when I finished my primary school, I went to high school and I did a minor seminary, Ruesero. Then I passed there for 6 years. When I was there, that's where I realized that I have to use my life for something. and I wanted to be different from my parents, because I really I should leave this village and I go somewhere else. And there was only two options. Either I work very hard to achieve on that. And working on very hard, it was like to target, I should go to study in a very good way, in a very good school. But where should I find it? So my decision was to invest in education. Invest the whole time that I had to study very well, and I was hoping to get a scholarship to go abroad. Then I studied in a minor seminary for 6 years. By the time I graduated in high school, I was among the first students in the country.
The O-level or A-level?
A-level.
A-level.
Yes, and I was awarded a scholarship to go to study in...
Presidential scholarship or another scholarship?
Governmental scholarship to go to study in China.
That's when?
That was in 2014.
Okay.
That's when I left Rwanda to China to study software engineering. So when I went there, and I said yeah, this is the first milestone. I'm here in China, but what's next?
You speak some Chinese?
Yes, I do speak Chinese.
Let's go. I speak too.
Ni hao, ni hao.
Ni hao, ni hao.
Yes, yeah. I actually speak Chinese, and I do some translation for Chinese people. So
really?
Basically, yeah, when I was there, I was so eager to get everything that I could find.
That's interesting.
Yes.
So China, you did what in China?
I did software engineering.
So for 4 years and...
For 4 years. And then I worked for half a year in China.
Working in an innovation company?
I was working in a software developing company.
Oh, that's good.
Working on digital platforms. And then I decided this is not really good working, this is not matching with my target and my dream. My dream is to be such a person who has an impact in the community. And I said I'm earning money here, but probably by the time I will have this money that can make impact, I will not have any other opportunities to make an impact. Then I decided to come back to Rwanda to build my own company.
And that is HV Tech?
Yes.
And that's how you started your journey?
Yes.
Interesting, that's a good story. Yeah? So from Owase to China,
yes.
From China to having your own such a beautiful office. Congrats, kudos.
Thank you.
So Mr. Serge, that's one of the most disruptive labs we have in the country. Amazing lab. And such a beautiful fellowships. Maybe soon you're going to turn on the video. We turn off. Can you please put on the video of the flying robots for Serge?
It's actually data science.
It's a data science. Good. So put on one of the videos. Interesting. So those are one of your fellowships?
Yes, we recruited students from university. They went through data science course. They had data scientists who were guiding them on each step. At the end, we matched the data enthusiasts with the startups that wanted to utilize their data. Because there are companies that have a lot of data, and that data is not turned into some opportunities. So when these data scientists are able to work on their data, then they are going to predict, they are going to know how they can shape their business, they are going to find more other opportunities in the business. So this is the output that is given out from these fellowships.
Interesting. Let's see. Well, thank you so much. Welcome back. That was an interesting intro and video about what you're doing. So tell us a little bit more of what you do, what you've seen on
this
the
kind of
screen.
fellowships. So that was data science. Maybe I can tell you about Space and Telecoms Fellowship that we're going to start very soon. We use smartphones, cell phones, facilitated by these ground towers. But now you know that our country is also putting more effort in space technologies like satellite. So we want to inspire young people, but not just inspiring, but also develop their capacity in coming up with applications that are supported by these space machines, like space, satellite and others, drones. Yeah. So in the Space and Telecoms Fellowship, we'll be having experts from different companies that we are partnering with, and at the end, our innovators want them to develop smart transport solutions, urban planning solutions, health solutions, agriculture solutions, like the one you have seen where sensors are put in farm to detect what's the water level and
temperature.
Yes, the temperature. There are many applications. For remote sensing, it's easy now to know if you have 1,000 hectares and one part is affected by diseases. So with remote sensing, it's easy to take a picture, and then with the sensors, we can do analysis and know, this space has been affected, so we need to do prevention so that the disease is not spread into the whole farm. So those are things that I have been saying about solving
big
problems. Yeah. So
interesting. Now, Mr. Serge, when somebody sees that and realizes that all these things are in your hands, you're managing these things, you're owning these things, you're also still young, under 30. It looks impeccable, and it looks unconventional how you do it. So somebody might be interested in knowing, who is Serge? Maybe Serge comes from minister's home, and we're not surprised Serge doing this.
Yeah.
But somebody wants to know who is Serge, and then they can compare, and then that comparison will be direct proportion to the impact this will make to this, to somebody watching this.
My background is not much different from what Nostalgia said.
Yes.
I'm from Gatsibo, Kabarore. So some people know that place. My father is a farmer, but a retired one.
Retired farmer?
Yeah, and my mother was also a teacher in primary. So it's also a low-income family.
Yep.
It's not that rich family, because even when I completed my high school, I had to join university. I had a scholarship, government scholarship, to study at CBE, Ichikondo. And then by my spirit, I wanted to do entrepreneurship from my young age. So I was 19 that time. Then I told my parents, if I join the scholarship, I'm not going to get time to work on my projects. So my father told me, I'm not able to pay for you the university, but I could also see that, because he was not able to pay that. And I told him, I'm going to find a way. I'll pay my school fees, my university school fees.
Interesting.
Then, as he said, that he invested in
so that means you left, you stopped the university, and you worked on the project.
Then I said, what skills do I need to have that I can sell to get money and sponsor my education in private university.
And do what you want to do.
Yes, then I joined AUCA, the Adventist University. Then I started paying school fees myself, and the same time working on my project.
Did you do what you're doing? Did you do it in high school, or you just, these are things you self-educated yourself and then later on joined further studies about?
I was self-teaching.
All these
taught
things?
myself everything. And for some skills that I now use, I also learned that from online platforms.
Interesting.
Like I have many certificates from MIT, I have, and many other schools that I have got from online.
That's self-commitment.
Yeah. Investing in knowledge. Nothing you can do without knowledge. So it's not everything we're doing is not coming from somewhere, like someone.
So now let's now come back to this question. We're asking ourselves, what are these strides? What are these achievements that have been done by the Rwandan youth in the technology and innovation industry? So for you guys, for me, I'm not into that sector on a daily basis. Apart from readings and interactions and joining fellowships and see what's happening and visiting offices like yours, but I'm not a guy into it. For you guys, you are doing this as your daily, work. When you look into this industry of innovation, fabrications, mechatronics, aerospace, and all these things, CubaStar and all those things. When you look at all those things, you see what's happening in Silicon Valley, and you see what's happening in Rwanda. How far do you think Rwanda has gone in terms of innovation, in terms of technology?
Well,
realistically speaking, not politically speaking.
Yes. Speaking of that, I can say like Rwanda's economy is very young, so that means many things are at the young level. They are still starting. And that means with the ICT integration that we have seen spreading all over the world, we still have too much things to do. Let me take an example of tourism industry that I'm working on right now. If you go and see the numbers from last year, Rwanda got like 400 million income in tourism.
In fact, this year's GDP, the tourism has been leading.
Yes.
With 48% of the country's GDP contributed by the tourism industry.
Yes. And then the projection is like after 8 years in 2024, this should have gone to 800 million. But yes, we are doing this in our traditional way. So we need to know, like, if we use ICT, we integrate ICT in all aspects of life, we will find like a very prosperous environment to work in. So if I answer the question of saying like how far have we come and when are we going? We are still in the beginning. We are still starting. We need to have, like in tourism, we need to have the digitalization in touristic sites. We need to have a very convenient way to access.
Do you have some numbers of how far industry is being digitalized?
Yes, Rwanda has started to work on promoting tourism since 2001, and then in 2009, that's when they made like a plan to promote it and get it at the center of like earning the income for the GDP of the country. And then in the integration, like in this kind of like digitalization, they started with integrating with the Irembo, and they put like all touristic sites, they developed this kind of like touristic permits. So you need to have a tour permit, but you have to go to get it from Irembo, right? This is the first step they have made. But we still need to do much more to get to the to the digitalization of the whole industry, the whole sector.
So then tell me, so now, I love the fact that you understand the sector and you see where it's coming from, where it's going and where it is now. So with Leapr, your company, how far do you want to take Rwanda?
So first, we have set the goals that we need to achieve relating to what we have seen like in other countries and other industries. So where do we
need some numbers?
Yes, and where do we need to take Rwanda from? First, we need to make sure that all touristic sites, they are accessible in the same platform So you can find like information from any touristic site online without going too much, doing too much.
That's what you're doing.
Yes, this is
and
one.
It's not really around.
Yes.
It's not available around, at the moment.
Yes, it is not available.
So that's what you're doing.
Yes. And another thing is to integrate digital powered tools on touristic sites. You have this kind of like AI powered, artificial intelligence powered devices that can help translators to know about the touristic site.
So that means somebody can use that device without having a human translator.
Yes.
That's what you're doing,
yes.
right?
Yes. And another thing is to give this.
How soon is that coming?
This will come as
soon as translator.
Yes, this will come as soon as we get the data that is required, and we project to have it by 2020. That's when we have to deploy those in touristic sites. And right now we are on our primary phase of gathering data, making people get customized on like using
the
platform. Putting the hotels, the suppliers, tour operators, the touristic guides on board, because at the end of the day we need to use this data to develop another like those kind of artificial intelligence powered devices. But at the moment we need to make the process of like accessing digital tourism products very easy, so that it can be attractive.
So what are your ultimate value propositions? Because we already have similar other e-booking, some electronic, solutions are, already, available in the hotels and tourism industry. But what is your value proposition? Now I get some of the interesting thing, which is the artificial intelligence, device. That one is much more touching to me. Eh? What else is like your value proposition?
Another value proposition, when we come to business-wise, we give a management platform to those business that are working in tourism. Say like you have a hotel, we give you a management system that can help you to manage your transactions, to manage your business so that you avoid failures, right? And for the tour operators, we also do the same. And another thing that is so extra on our side, it's because we develop this content in 5 different languages. So if we develop in English, French, Kinyarwanda, Swahili, and Chinese, right? So that means we want to make sure that all touristic sites here in Rwanda, they are exposed, everyone can see it, like in his convenient language. So this is something we are going to put in this industry. If you are a Chinese guy, you just make sure that you can learn about Rwanda's touristic site in your favorite.
Interesting.
language.
So we'll come back to you. So now, Mr. Serge, you having such a lab, my question is, actually you don't dedicate what you have to any of the local universities. You dedicate all you have, from self-education and other commitments you did while taking some, required courses. Now, you have such a lab, and you're hoping the, young technologists and young scientists. Don't we have similar labs in our universities, or it's the only lab of its kind we have in the country?
In universities here, there are not similar labs, not only here in Rwanda, but even around the world. It's not easy or it's not applicable to have such a labs, incubators into university, because the university mission is to teach students, and when it becomes to the business side, then at that time it can collide with the university's mission. So I think here in Rwanda we have no incubators.
So that's the only of its kind lab?
Yes.
So then do you have all the equipments you dream to have in that lab? That's all the lab should be like, or you have some other loopholes and gaps to fill?
Yeah, we started from negative. We are now 2 years here because I started in 2017, so I can't say we have enough materials required in the lab, but we are working on it. We are engaging more partners. We are looking for more funding to make sure that we have materials that are required.
So can you tell me the impact, the numbers you want to impact in the next 5 years?
Yeah, will match the solution with the question you asked him, comparing the innovation ecosystem here
yes.
and that of maybe US, the Silicon Valley. Rwanda has put more effort in science and technology as well as innovation, and we are seeing the speed that we are moving on being tremendous, and I can say very soon we'll not be comparing with some African countries, but we're going to be comparing with
the Silicon Valley.
Yes, yeah, of course. That's what Leapr Labs also is trying to do when we are engaging different partners from these big players in the innovation ecosystem. We're trying to move from the other traditional way of doing business. You know, young people here, they wake up in the morning and you dream about something you want to work on as a business. Then tomorrow you start working on it, and then the next day then you deploy it. That's a traditional way that business has been done here. So, but we need to engage the design thinking in these procedures.
What do you mean by design thinking?
So design thinking is an approach of solving problems with creative techniques. So at that time...
Break it down for us.
Yes, let me tell you a little bit about it. For design thinking, I wake up in the morning, I think about an idea, something I want to work on. Before starting implementation, I first go outside to do a research. I first look at the users who need this. What do they need? What's the real need that is outside? After finding that real need,
you customize the service.
After finding that real need, then you start working on it in a team, trying to state well the solution you want to make. Then you make what we call a prototype, something that you can test with your clients. Then after making that, you go outside again, you test with your clients to give you feedback. They give you feedback one time, more times. You do iterations so that you have something that will become desirable, that is feasible, and that is viable. Because at the end, you need to make sure your product is going outside and is going to do marketing for you. I give you an example, a little example. You know iPhone?
Yes.
The designer of iPhone, they use the design thinking. They give us their devices, you use it, and you start doing marketing for them. You tell your neighbor, your fellow, I have this phone, and it's a very nice phone. And that's why you don't see Apple here coming to do advertisement, because the device itself does marketing for them.
Interesting.
But some devices you'll find people putting more effort in marketing. And you're going to spend more energy in marketing, and the first people who use the product will not do marketing for you, because you will start seeing some attrition in your company, some customers leaving your product, because you didn't do what? You didn't put more effort in the product design and product development.
Interesting. Now let's look at the ecosystem of this country in regards to the entrepreneurship and innovation and technology. What do you think Rwanda is providing the most? The most service Rwanda is providing to this ecosystem of innovation, technology, and what do you think is the most provision towards you guys who are doing this? Is it the financing? Is it the opportunities and platforms? Is it the protocol will? What is it? The most?
So I think if I can rank, I can say like Rwanda's political will, it is the most like influencing factor to attract many people to start like dreaming on and working on things. because
I want to know what has worked for you, and pick only one of them.
For me, I think the stability here in Rwanda, it is the most thing that attracted me to never say I'm working in any other country, because you want to make sure that you are working on things.
That's what attracted you
forever.
That's what attracted you, but that's not what retained you. I want to know what sustained you around in the system of doing the things, running a company. Of course, government is not your partner as a shareholder, but is your partner in a way. So I want to know that thing you say, oh man, if I wasn't in the country of Rwanda, I would have not stepped this trap. I would have not gone far beyond this stage. But because of this single provision of the country, we've been able to withstand the situation.
So I think here in Rwanda there is something that is very different. This is accessibility of opportunities. Like here in Rwanda, it is a place where you can come and start from zero and you just do things.
So we can say accessibility,
yes.
Platforms.
Yes.
Interesting. That has worked for you.
Yes.
What has government service served you in a way? But what is that most interesting part you've learned about the country of Rwanda in regard to the development of your projects?
The first thing is
remember, we pick only one.
It's only one.
Yeah.
Even it's the most
yes.
important. It's the speed that Rwanda itself has in implementation.
So the speed.
Yes, implementing the plans of the country. So the speed our leaders have, the way they work.
The will.
Yes, everything. That's the inspiration they give to me, and that's why I have almost the same. So
now, let's now come to the business part of these things. You guys, you are technicians, you are developers, at the same time you are managing your companies. So isn't it hard? Sometimes these guys who are doing software development, they don't provide some other skills, like leadership skills, management skills, marketing skills, salesmanship skills, and of which in the end, if they develop their own applications and products, it will be so hard maybe to manage and and maneuver and juggle things. So how has it been hard to you being a scientist, a developer, a technician, and at the same time leading a company as an MD, as a CEO, as a co-founder? Did you have some conflicts in there?
Yeah, basically I cannot say there won't be conflicts, but one way of solving conflicts is not to say you are the best in your team, right? Like in my team, I have a philosophy that says if I feel like I'm the best in my team, that means my team has a problem.
But then the thing I'm asking,
yes.
You doing very well. Even that team, you hired the team.
Yes.
So hiring the team is a human resource skill. And you are a technician, you are a developer, you are a scientist, of which maybe you didn't have such exposure and skills back in your studies. So I'm asking myself, isn't it hard for the mere developers and technicians to at the same time be the MDs of their companies?
Yeah, basically it is hard.
So what was the hardest part in the beginning?
Okay.
Building your company, at the same time developing the solutions, the applications. What was the hardest leadership thing you've had?
So for me, the most challenging thing that I ever had is to make the team that is working with me very engaged as I am.
Motivating the team.
Yes. This is really because you see you have a dream and you feel everyone...
They are not catching it.
Yes. And then you want to push everyone to come and be on board. And you project something a success there and let people work on it.
So how do you solve that problem?
So one of the things is to be an example, work very hard. And another thing is also to understand other people.
Yes.
Yes. Probably they are not doing this because there is some misconception, right? So you better you work hard and you educate. You go around, you talk, and you just attract people.
In a nutshell, one of the hardest leadership thing in the beginning, with your company and your team, was motivating and engaging the team.
Yes.
And delegation and all that. So that was the hardest part.
Yes.
Mr. Serge, you also, a lab guy and a scientist and technician, developer, and you're leading the company, and it's a people business, and you've been a machine guy. So tell me, what was the hardest leadership thing, in running your companies?
The hardest part is, for me, is recruitment.
The recruitment?
Yes.
What do you mean by recruitment?
Engaging teams.
Finding the right team?
Yes, finding the right people. The reason it's hard is that most of the young graduates here in Rwanda, all those who studied abroad, who are coming here, they all come here looking for jobs that are paying well.
The office job.
Most of the startups here, they don't have that capacity to pay you the amounts you want. So in their heads, they have that mind, I want in 1 year or 2 years to maybe buy a car. But that's really challenging because these big institutions are not going to hire every young graduate here. So it means some young people needs also to go and join the startups and
struggle with them, journey with them.
And I assure them that's more beneficial than going into a big institution that is running, because if you go in a startup, you become a pioneer in it.
And you become an entrepreneur at the same time.
Yes, and you know the challenges that they face, which can enable you also to even
start. When you talk about recruitment, you mean, because when you're talking about recruitment, there are a lot of things that resonate around there. Number one, recruitment challenge can be maybe the quality of the candidates, or it can be maybe the payment, incapability of the startup. So the most challenge is incapability of the startup to pay the candidates, or finding the right candidates is the problem.
I think both, but not at the same level, because if we say about their capacity, the first thing that is needed is willingness, commitment, because you can learn as you work. And regarding the salary, also startups don't have that enough money to hire experienced people, those who have the required experience.
Interesting.
So
now it's
a combination of
that's a good thing. So the leadership was the problem, the leadership of motivating the team, and then the problem was recruitment. Now, how did you handle that before we go to another thing? Or is still a problem?
It's still a problem, but we are working on it.
Do you think we have an ecosystem of potential candidates who can really serve the startups?
Yeah, we do. We do
have enough members in the ecosystem.
We have enough youth, and we have enough resources to learn. So the only thing that is needed is those people, those youth, coming into the area where they're going to access the resources.
Interesting. Now, let's talk in the perspective of the entire ecosystem of startups, small businesses, and all that. What do you think is the most, because you're one of the few guys who are sustainable and resilient and committed and run the company for more than 2 years, 3 years, and still be alive. Few guys here locally can celebrate their 3rd birthday of their companies. For you guys, you've challenged that challenge. Why do you think most of the young men, majority of them, they start? One has made it simple for RDB. Registration is online, 6 hours, you get the certificate and you start. But then it's up to you to sustain yourself for the next 1 year, 2 years, second year, 3rd year. Why do you think most of the innovation and technology young starters fail in their first phase of year or 2nd year?
For me, I think it's 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
One, they lack the real guidance to do or to start a business.
Sure.
That's one. Second, they don't start with the end in their mind. So most of them, they start without having a certain vision.
Yes.
The reason, when you have a vision, you still work for it. The third thing is to expect someone else will come and help me.
Really?
Government will come and help me. When you have that mentality, you always seek a help. And when you meet some challenges, you say, I'm not supported.
And then you bring
and when you think that I'm the one to do this,
and the driver,
then when you have that mentality, you work for it, and when you get a help, that's excitement. Then you are excited and you are motivated. But when you wait for the help before you start working,
you get disappointed.
Exactly.
Interesting. How about you?
So another thing that I see, like, it is lacking of a clear plan. Like, when you are starting to engage into something that you have a vision for it, it is better that you have a clear plan. And
Number two.
Yes.
Number two.
And another thing is expecting too much from at the beginning.
Nice.
You don't have to expect too much.
That's interesting.
Yes, you have to be humble and say, like, I'm going to meet difficulties and I'm going to put my head down.
That's interesting.
And I'm going to be on my knees to get on something. Don't expect too much.
That's interesting.
And another thing, the third one is failing to partner with others.
Partnership mentality.
Yes, there are people who go in the industry with this mind of ownership.
It's mine.
Yes, it's mine. And you cannot really partner with a person who is going to give you value, right? So having an idea, it is really easy, but to implement it, it takes more than one person.
Interesting.
So, partner with
that's why all of you guys are co-founders. Now you get the thing. So any last message? We are done. 1 second.
Thank you. The last message to the youth and other people who are following up, we are committed to make sure that we achieve what Leapr Labs want to achieve, to create opportunities out of big questions. But we are inviting you to partner with us. For youth, we have a lot of opportunities for you, and for other institutions that are in line with technology and research, we are ready to partner with you to make sure that we develop our country and our continent at large.
Interesting. Thank you, Mr. Serge.
For me, what I can say is working for yourself is enjoyable. Just go out of your comfort zone
and work it for
start
yourself.
to work on it. Try it. You enjoy it.
Interesting. My pleasure, guys, having you tonight, and it's my joy. Thank you so much. This was DecideX that you follow every Sunday from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. And you're always with Mr. Frank Rwaduka. I'm your friend, and I'm committed to always bring the best brains of their own kind, like Mr. Serge, Mr. Patrice. So it was a joy meeting you guys tonight. These are the best innovators we have in the country, and wish you well.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Good night, and see you.
See you.